I'll never forget that autumn night. The air was crisp, and the leaves crunched beneath our feet as I lay in bed, wide awake. My parents were sound asleep, oblivious to the adventure I was about to embark on with my friends. I glanced at the clock, midnight. The perfect time for mischief. I slowly slipped out of bed, careful not to creak the floorboards. The moonlight streamed through my window, illuminating the path to my backpack. I packed a flashlight, some snacks, and a baseball bat, just in case. I had no idea what we might encounter that night. Once I was ready, I crept downstairs and out the back door. The chill in the air hit me like a wave, sending shivers down my spine. I could hear the rustling leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. This was it. I was finally going to meet up with my friends, Danny and Sarah, for a night we'd never forget. I made my way to the park, our usual meeting spot. The trees stood tall and ominous, their branches swaying gently in the wind. As I approached, I could see the dim glow of their flashlights flickering in the distance. I felt a surge of excitement. "Hey!" I called out, my voice breaking the eerie silence. "Dude, you made it!" Danny said, his face lighting up with a grin. Sarah waved her flashlight in a circular motion, illuminating her face. "You ready for some fun?" "Absolutely," I replied, though a hint of nervousness gnawed at my insides. We had heard the stories about the old abandoned house at the edge of the woods, but tonight felt different. There was a thrill in the air, an excitement that pushed me forward. "Let's go check it out," Danny said, his eyes glimmering with mischief. We took off, sprinting through the park, laughing and calling out to each other. The closer we got to the woods, the more the atmosphere shifted. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves with an urgency that sent a chill down my spine. As we entered the woods, the darkness enveloped us. Our flashlights danced across the trees, revealing twisted branches and gnarled roots. "This is where they say the ghost lives," Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. I rolled my eyes, trying to brush off the creeping fear. "Come on, it's just a story," I said, but even I felt the weight of the night pressing down on us. We soon reached the old house, a decrepit structure that seemed to loom over us like a shadow. The windows were boarded up, and the door hung off its hinges, swaying gently in the wind. "Are we really doing this?" I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. "Of course," Danny said, stepping forward. "We can't back down now." He pushed the door open, and it creaked loudly, echoing in the stillness. I hesitated but followed them inside, curiosity outweighing my fear. The interior was dark and musty, filled with the smell of damp wood in decay. We switched on our flashlights, beams cutting through the darkness, revealing remnants of a life once lived, old furniture covered in dust, faded photographs hanging crookedly on the walls. "Look at this!" Sarah exclaimed, pointing to a rusted old chandelier hanging precariously from the ceiling. It looked like it could fall at any moment. My heart raced as I heard a soft scuffling sound from the other room. "What was that?" I whispered, glancing nervously at Danny and Sarah. They exchanged looks but shrugged it off. "Just the wind," Danny said, but I wasn't so sure. We ventured deeper into the house, the atmosphere growing heavier with each step. I felt as if we were being watched. The shadows seemed to dance along the walls, flickering with the light from our flashlights. Suddenly, we heard a loud bang from the kitchen. "Did you hear that?" I gasped, my heart pounding in my chest. "Let's get out of here." "Just a raccoon or something," Danny said, trying to sound brave, but even he looked a little pale. We moved cautiously toward the kitchen, our flashlights illuminating the way. As we entered, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A figure stood at the far end, cloaked in darkness, its eyes reflecting the light like two piercing beacons. My breath hitched in my throat. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice trembling. The figure didn't move, but I could feel its presence looming over us. I turned to Danny and Sarah, panic written on my face. "We need to leave. Now." Just then, the figure stepped into the light. It was an old woman, her face lined with deep wrinkles, and a sad expression etched across her features. "What are you children doing here?" she croaked, her voice raspy and haunting. We stood frozen, fear coursing through us. We were just exploring," I stammered, my courage dwindling. "Exploring? This is no place for children," she warned, taking a step closer. I noticed her clothes were tattered, as if they belonged to another time. "You shouldn't be here. It's not safe." "Why?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. The woman glanced toward the darkened hallway behind her, her eyes wide with fear. "There are things in this house you cannot understand. You must leave before it's too late." Okay, we're leaving," Danny said, turning to flee. We sprinted past her, our hearts racing. As we ran, I could feel something cold and sinister trailing behind us, a presence that made the air thick and oppressive. We burst through the front door and into the night, the chill biting at our skin. We didn't stop until we reached the edge of the woods, panting and breathless. "What just happened?" I gasped, looking back at the house, now shrouded in darkness. "I don't know, but we shouldn't have gone in there," Sarah said, her face pale. Danny nodded in agreement, his usual bravado fading away. "What was that woman?" I asked, my mind racing. "Was she real?" "I don't know, but something felt off about her," Danny replied, his voice low. "Let's just get back home." We walked in silence, the night now feeling heavier than ever. The wind howled through the trees, and the leaves whispered secrets that I didn't want to hear. As we reached the park, we glanced back one last time at the house. I swear I saw a figure standing in the window, watching us with those piercing eyes. A shiver ran down my spine, and I turned away, refusing to look back again. That night, I learned that some adventures are not worth taking. The thrill of exploring can sometimes lead you to places best left undisturbed. I've never returned to that house, but I often wonder about the woman we encountered. Who was she, and what did she mean by the things we could not understand? Autumn nights are beautiful, but that one will always haunt me. The crunch of the leaves, the chill in the air, it all reminds me of the darkness lurking just beyond the light. And every time I see a shadow flicker in the corner of my eye, I can't help but think of the old woman and the secret she kept.